Hey everybody, I'm that one guy, and I wanted to create a series of videos to go over the Weakauras I've created. The whole purpose of the Weakauras is obviously to help you better understand your spec and hopefully help you play better as a result, but also to gamify the game. Because WoW does present you with some spell alerts for the specs you play, but not all. And so that leaves you looking for ways to identify if a certain buff or debuff is active. And that's where Weakauras can come in play. And I wanted to do more than just have an icon with a timer in it, right? I wanted to try to present you with visual effects that make it feel more like a video game and immerse you more into the spec you're playing. At least that's the idea. So in these videos, I'm going to go over the Weakauras I've created, how I intend for them to work, and show you how you can modify them if you'd like. So whether you've already found my Weakauras, or you're looking for some for a certain spec, or you just want to have a better idea of how Weakauras work in general, hopefully these videos will help you with that. Affliction Warlock, or Afflac. I don't play a lot of Warlock because Warlocks are evil, and I give my buddy who plays Afflock a hard time because he's probably evil in real life. But let's look at the Weakauras I made. I always have, a good time usually making these. I end up liking the spec a little more after I do it, just because I don't know, I enjoy the visuals and it helps me get into the character more, and that's kind of the point. So hopefully it does the same thing for y'all, is it helps your enjoyment or maybe makes you try a new spec or stick with an alt or something. But let's just start with these. The general lock stuff is going to be where you have your soul shards, and this nice reminder that your pet isn't passive, because heaven forbid you get into a raid encounter and your pet's passive the whole time. This will make sure that doesn't happen. All right. Then that's where you have your cast bar, and that's pretty much it. Right. If you don't need any of that, you can right click and delete this. If you don't like the color of those soul shards, you can click on this and go to the display tab and change their color to whatever you want it to be. Right. If you've downloaded the other two lock specs, I'm pretty sure I dumped the general lock one inside of theirs as well, so you might have duplicates. If you've gotten all of them, you don't need 3 versions of the same thing. I'll come back to these two at the end. Those are related to the hero talents. UA, Unstable Affliction, it will not show unless you have an attackable target, right? So if it's a friendly or they're dead or you have no target, that won't be on your screen. When it's grayed out like that, that means they don't have your debuff. And then when it gets inside the pandemic window, it'll glow, letting you know to refresh it. Same is true for Agony, literally the exact same stuff. No target, won't show, have a target, it'll be grayed out like that, letting you know they don't have your debuff. And then when it's inside the pandemic window, it'll glow. But I also know, I saw that there was a talent that's like when you refresh Agony, when there's under 10 seconds, it like explodes or something. So maybe it's better to put it at 10 seconds. If you're an Afflock main, Afflac, let me know, because I just do it based off the pandemic window usually. Haunt. Again, when they have Haunt, when they have that debuff, you will see this progress bar. And it glows around, I think I did like 3.5 seconds, maybe a little more, because that is when Haunt is coming off cooldown. So as I was kind of playtesting these and hitting the dummy over and over again, I noticed if I put it at just like 3 seconds, the lag time of recognizing it's glowing and then casting it was very short. Whereas if you put it at 3.5 seconds, you notice it, and by the time you notice it and can push a button, it's usually right there off cooldown. So, you could change that to where maybe it's 4 seconds, right? Just because it's really close, right? Again, the time you recognize it and then can push it. But basically, it glows, letting you know that Haunt is off cooldown, because the debuff is 18 seconds and the cooldown is 15 seconds. So there is a grace window where there's still Haunt on your target and you can recast it. Tormented Crescendo. These two things, they'll be lower and right above your soul shards when you're not in Hellcaller. They're moved up to make space for a wither tracker, but those little purple icons, and they will turn gray or white when there is, let's see exactly how much time. I say when they're about to expire, but the answer is when there's 4 seconds or less, they'll turn gray or white, right? Just because, again, I know I saw in the guide that it says to wait until you're at 2 stacks. Well, if you're waiting until you're at 2 stacks and that never comes and your first one's about to expire, it'd be better to, I would say, send it than let it expire. Nightfall. It is green when at 1 stack and purple when at 2 stacks. And then when there's 3 seconds or less, it's desaturated. You could change that right? You can either delete this, it's not going to break the Weakura, it's going to be green and then purple, 1 stack, 2 stack. Or you could make this longer or shorter, totally up to you. If you wanted to change the colors of them, right? This is the color it is at 1 stack, right? Green, so you can make that a different color if you wanted. And this condition here is basically telling it when it's over 1 stack to go back to, you know, it looks like it's saying go back to white, but the color of the texture itself is purple. So it defaults to its original color, white, but it's actually purple. You could change that by, I would recommend doing desaturate and then changing the color, and that will change. There you go, it turns that when it's running out, and those turn gray-white when they're running out, and those glow when it's time to refresh them. But yeah, if you want to change the colors, that would be how. I'd say don't worry about like changing colors and like worrying about messing something up, because you can delete the whole pack and just re-download it and start again. No big deal. Malign Omen. And again, as I play a spec, I try to figure out like what's important. This was one thing where I was like, what extends the duration of my stuff? And then I, you know, and how's that happening? And I realized it's a talent and a buff you have. So these are your 3 charges of Malign Omen. Again, sometimes I feel pretty happy with myself, and I'm like, I think that looks pretty cool and kind of on brand with not only AF, but the talent itself. Maybe there was a different thing I could put on the outside, but again, I think that's pretty cool with a little skull inside of it. If you wanted to move those, you're like, I really don't like where those are, you can go to the group tab and position and size settings and just change where they're located, right? I debated having them up here, but I was like, meh, it's whatever. It's 3 things. You just kind of need to know it's there. If you wanted to change the size of them, you could go into each individual thing, but I would recommend just changing the group scale right here, right? You could shrink them pretty small or make them very large, right? Up to you. But right now they'll just sit right there. And again, you could shrink them and then move them. If you wanted them to be vertical instead of horizontal, you'd probably want to go into each individual one, and you can either click it and drag it, or mess with its X and Y offset until they're stacked on top of each other instead of sitting next to each other. X will go left and right, and Y will go up and down. Shadow Embrace. So the debuff, again, lots of debuffs for AF, that you apply to your target, goes up to 4 when you're using the channeled spell, which name evades me at the moment, so sorry. Drain Soul, could have guessed. Alright, goes up to 4, but when you're using Shadow Bolt, it only goes up to 2, so you'll see how many stacks of that debuff you have on your target, and as you swap targets. And then when it's about to expire, again, when it's about to expire, you can know the exact number is 4.8 seconds. They'll turn white. Okay, if you want to change the time on that, right, to 3 seconds, 6 seconds, whatever you want, you'd click on Shadow Embrace, go to the Conditions tab, and change it right there. And as always, to change the color, it's in the Display tab of the group, and you can change the color to whatever you like right there. All right. Phantom Singularity has 2 things that it's tracking. One is this circle. It is just a circle because I'll just show it right now. Soul Rot goes inside of it. Because it looked like even when Phantom Singularity or even Vile Taint is off cooldown, you're casting it with Soul Rot. So I'm like, alright, I'm just going to make that one whole thing. Is you'll know when Phantom Singularity is off cooldown. So you'll realize, like, alright, there's 15 seconds left until Soul Rot comes up. And then when it's filled, I just have a cast sequence macro to push that does both of them. So yeah, just a little visual. Again, if you don't like where that is, there'd be 2 things you want to move. I would recommend clicking on this, the circle part, because otherwise you'll move the bar too. But yeah, you can just shift it up and down wherever you like. You could even change its width and height. But yeah, they're set up to look like one thing because it did recommend using them at the same time. But it's actually 2 different things put together. Singularity will show if Dark Glare is not active, just because every minute you can be using your Singularity and it just at least letting you know the duration of your target taking more damage from you. As soon as you activate Dark Glare, that bar goes away. That's why it's not showing right now. And then when Dark Glare goes away, you'll see the rest of that, the duration of that debuff. Vile Taint is in the exact same spot, just a little different color as Phantom Singularity because the talent is a little different color than Phantom Singularity. Soul Rot you already see right there. Okay, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And then Dark Glare, right? Just a little timer bar letting you know how much is left on your Dark Glare. Back to the hero talents. This will be something that you may or may not like, right? Succulent Souls for Soul Harvester. You'll see is right there, right? Like that's exactly where you have those two cooldowns. One guy, that's stupid. I felt like I never encountered a situation where I had enough Succulent Souls and it bothered me. Again, even then, that circle is the only thing that sits there for a while. And then as soon as the filled in orb aspect of it comes in, I'm using those cooldowns. And those cooldowns give you some Succulent Souls. So just again, you could move them. If you feel like that's super obnoxious, can set it to where when you have Succulent Souls, when you're in that hero talent, that the location of these moves, and then just moves back whenever you're in Hellcaller. I just try to keep everything nice and compact. I feel like if you move it even further down, it's just going to be sitting on your character's head, right? But that's Succulent Souls. It's just literally the inverse of your soul shards. And if somebody knows, I think it only goes up to 5, just because it's like whenever you create a soul shard, you can create a Succulent Soul or get a Succulent Soul or whatever. And so I'm like, well, you can only create 5 soul shards. So I imagine this only goes up to 5. And then, this triggers 3, but if you found yourself with 6 or more, let me know and I can adjust it, but it'll only go up to 5. And then if you're in Hellcaller, you get 2 things, right? You get this is for Wither. It's just a little bar. These Tormented Crescendos move up to make space for the Wither bar. It's just going to be a little, let's see if it'll show it, green and purple bar. Yep. And when it's about to expire, when it's in its pandemic window, boop, which is, I have it at 6 seconds, it'll glow. Okay, and then Malevolence, when it's off cooldown, you'll see that purple with those eyes, right? If that's obnoxious to you, you can right click. You can right click and delete any of these. Deleting children in group deletes everything that's under the plus sign here, right? You can delete it. You can delete things individually. It's yours to play with. So whatever makes you feel happy. But this just kind of goes with, this Phantom Singularity and Soul Rot. It's on a minute. It'll pop up, and those all get used around the same time. So, what it looks like in practice, as I have just been thinking around, right, I'm in Hellcaller with the spec, and forgive me if I do it wrong, you'll just kind of see what it looks like. And the only thing that doesn't have a Weakura or to tell you when it's off cooldown is Dark Glare. Typically, if something is a minute and a half or more, I leave it off, just because 1, I don't need to be putting absolutely everything on the screen, and 2, you can at least still track that. It's 2 minutes, right? Or every third, right? Every third Malevolence or every third Soul Rot means that Dark Glare's up, right? You use it, then you don't use it, and then you use it. That's right. Thinking of Dark Glare with those things. Anywho, let's just see what it looks like. Those won't show until you're in combat. Any of the Weakauras won't show until you're in combat, obviously, except for your debuffs, Agony, Wither, and, man, my brain turned off for a second. Unstable Affliction. I don't know what I wanted to call it. Unstable Corruption? Wrong. All right. You see your cast bar. Everything's active, right? You see all your dots active. You see your cooldowns they have available to you. There is a Nightfall proc. Oh, I didn't do the, Shadow Bolt stuff. All right, there's my Malign Omen. That was telling me to use my Haunt, right, because it's about to expire. But I know Malign Omen will extend those things. That's what I've been learning about AF stuff. There's my Shadow Embrace stuff. Tormented Crescendo. It tells me how much longer I have on Dark Glare. Those glowing means refresh your debuffs, man. Phantom Singularity has a little bit of time left on it, right? And again, forgive me if I'm not playing this to perfection for the Afflock pros out there. I'm just kind of showing what the Weakauras look like, right? Stuff that glows, letting you know when it's time to cast it. There's your Nightfall proc. And a little bit, you'll have Haunt glowing at you, telling you to refresh it. See, and you see your Phantom Singularity is back up. Oh no, Nightfall's going to expire. Phantom Singularity is back up, but Soul Rot's not back up yet. So I would just be kind of waiting. And you could, like, knowing you have that, glance and see, like, well, how much time is left on it? Right, and then there it is. And then Malevolence back at the same time. All right, and I got to refresh stuff. This means that your Shadow Embrace is about to expire. And it did. Oh, no. Malign Omens, right? So, not a guide on how to play perfectly, just showing you how the Weakauras work. That's what I got for Hellcaller. I may need to add in some functionality for like AoE to let you know more about like Seed of Corruption and when it's spread to other targets and things like that. But for right now, I just have it set up on like the base stuff that you'd like to know and need to know, especially just for single target and Hellcaller. Now let's switch. Oh, that really changes when you go into Soul Harvester. So you don't track Wither anymore. Your corruption's just on there. You won't have the thing for Malevolence anymore, and your Shadow Bolt turns to Soul Rot. But all the other stuff still stays the same. See, pet and passive. That's so terrible. All the other stuff would look pretty much the same, friends. Right. There is my Shadow Embrace, and then you'll see your Succulent Souls. So that's what I was talking about with like, I never really encountered a situation where, oh, did I not put Haunt up? No, it's because I don't have a target. That would be a problem. I somehow stopped targeting the thing. But I never encountered a situation where I had Succulent Souls active, and then those cooldowns active at the same time, and was annoyed that they were in the way. But maybe you have a different experience than me. All right? But that'd be it. Again, works. All the other stuff works and functions the exact same way. Just the difference being letting you know when you have Succulent Souls. As you can see, the Tormented Crescendos are closer to your soul shards, and it's expiring. Because there isn't any Wither to track. Right? But again, turning white when it's about to expire, glowing when it's about to expire, and it's off cooldown. There you go. Finally, purple because it's at 2 stacks. Right? That's it. That's all I got. Again, maybe there needs to be something for AoE. That's the only thing I didn't really get to test. Was anything in AoE? With your Seed of Corruption and how that might impact your gameplay and tracking it. But it looked like it should do most of the same stuff. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you feel like there's anything left out, anything I need to add, any way I can improve or modify these Weakauras, and I hope you like it. Again, I hope you found that helpful. I do intend to make a Weakura pack for every spec. So if I haven't made one for the spec that you play or that you'd like to see, just comment that down below. Again, I do intend to make one for every spec, but if I see people asking for it or really wanting one, I'll probably get to it quicker than if I just do it on my slow, leisurely pace. I hope it will enhance your gameplay. Like I said, it's all about gamifying the game and making it more fun and more immersive for you, while also helping you improve as a player because the information that you need to react to is hopefully more readily available. If you have any other questions about this Weakura pack that you just watched or any other ones, again, please feel free to comment. I try to be as interactive as possible in my YouTube section. And that's it. I hope you have a great day.